I got my power pole down, stuck in the mud in the bottom of the lake, sitting so still in the wind and the waves could even be a hurricane.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Downtime Live. Like I said, cool people always just drop into my office. Today I have Chad Hoover, founder of Kayak Bass Fishing, and he's going to talk a little bit about the fast rising sport of kayak bass fishing. And that's one thing I've kind of seen. That's really the biggest growth segment, I think, in the tournament series and competitive fishing has been with the kayaks recently.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Why is what is about that is kind of driving that growth?
I think a lot of it has to do with it's a lower barrier to entry. You know, it's not as expensive to get into. But not everybody is in it because it's cheaper. I mean, there's some guys that by the time they put a power pole and a $3,000 12-inch screen depth finder and a motor and all this other stuff on their kayak, they're rivaling some of your lower end bass boats, especially some of your aluminum boats and John boats and things along those lines. But that's the beautiful thing about it is you can compete with those guys with a $12,000-$15,000 kayak and a $1,200 kayak or a $800 kayak or a $500 kayak. So I think that's part of it. I think the other part of it is it's just a different type of fishing. You know, it's I tell everybody fishing out of anything else for me is like fishing in black and white, but fishing in a kayak is like fishing in IMAX 3D, except it's really more like 4D because you get the splash of the water on your face and you see the fish a lot of times, even though you can sight cast from a boat and from wade fishing and all that, you just more often than not, you see the fish in a kayak. You see them when they're coming up following the lure. You've got a lower profile. You can get into places that boats can't. We don't have to have as big a fishery. You know, we can have tournaments and derbies and challenges in really small bodies of water. We need about 50 to 75 acres per angler to get away with a good tournament. I try to stay around 200 plus when we can, but I think that's it, man. It's a lower barrier to entry. It's unique. It's fun, and guys can do it together. It's a social thing, right? Kayak fishing is a lot like motorcycle gangs or like motorcycle clubs. The MCs. They all have their patches and their logos and their. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point kayak anglers didn't start wearing the matching vest. You know what I mean, with the logo on the back. But it's a big camaraderie thing. It's just a different way to fish, and I think a lot of people are just drawn to that uniqueness of it. But a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're paying out really good money now. And again, with that lower barrier to entry and still high risk, high chance for reward, there's lower risk. And so that just draws a lot of people to it. Yeah,
I've always been a big saltwater kayak fisherman. Mm-hmm. And I love the fact that you can get to places where you can't normally in a motorized boat. Especially, you hook into some big fish, yep. Big sharks, and you start skiing around. You mentioned uniqueness. And that is another thing I've noticed. Kayakers, kayak fishermen as a whole, they're very unique personalities.
Yeah.
And you actually have a project in the works where you get to showcase some of those unique personalities. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, you learn in the psychology of sports science that to get people to really care about a sport, you have to develop those personalities more. Gerald Swindell gets more camera time than a guy leading the tournament a lot of times because he's cracking jokes. Mike Iaconelli a lot of times has got more camera time because he's cracking jokes, but you didn't get to know that about them until you put the camera on them. So they had to be great anglers first, and that's all part of it. But what we're doing, and the reason we're in Florida right now, I'm on my way to Kissimmee. We're going to do an event called the 10. By a lot of anglers' accounts, myself included, it's the most elite event in kayak fishing. It's the top 10 anglers from the previous year's Angler of the Year standings. Now, guys can win Angler of the Year without really ever competing on the same body of water at the same time as all the other great anglers, with the exception of one event at the Trail Series Championship. But what this is it's taking those top 10 guys from all over the country, putting them on the same body of water at the same time, but we're throwing a little bit of a monkey wrench in there and putting them all in the same house, right? We're creating that almost like that UFC Ultimate Fighter meets Big Brother kind of a concept to where they're going to live together for 4 days. They're going to fish against each other for 2 days. They're going to experience the highs together and the lows together, and then they got to figure out the dance of living in the same house. And we've got 12 guys in 12 rooms with 5 showers. So that's going to be interesting, right? There's a 12-bedroom house with 5 bathrooms. which is bigger than any house I'll ever live in. Most likely, either of us will ever live in.
Me too.
But it's like a mansion. The folks at Encore Resorts at Reunion have been kind enough to come on board as partners in this event, along with the Kissimmee Sports Commission. We're excited about the fact that we're going to one of the premier bass fisheries in the country at the premium time to go with the top anglers. Man, it's going to be a slugfest. You think kayak fishing, you think backwaters, you think lily pads and frogs and spawning bass in shallow water with the 10 best guys in the world. But a lot of them are having to fish on camera, and that throws a unique angle. Some guys flourish when you turn the camera on, and some guys buckle when you put the camera on them. So we're gonna put them under pressure with the other anglers, and we're gonna put them under pressure by putting the camera on them, and we're gonna see who comes out on top as the Kayak Bass Fishing DZ the 10 champion. They're competing for a $31,000 prize purse. Everybody gets $1,000 just for showing up. Actually, they say you get $1,000 just for showing up. Well, at KBF, we don't do it that way. We actually send them the $1,000 ahead of time, so it helps them even get there. Mm-hmm. And then when they get there, everything's taken care of. Their meals, their lodging, again, 5-star accommodations, catered in food. We're rolling out the red carpet. Tons of sponsor support. They're going to feel like kings for the week, right? One of them's going to be the king for the week, though, because they're going to take home $10,000. We drop down to $6,000. And then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's $1,000 from 5th place out to 11th place, because we actually have a 3-way tie for 9th, which means the 10 this year is 11. So it's going to be unique. We have an event called the TENvitational, where if you finish in the top 10% of any of the other KBF events throughout the year, you get invited to the TENvitational. If you win that event, you win a wild card assignment to the 10. Now, there's 11 guys that don't want that to happen, so they're also fishing in the TENvitational. And they're basically fishing defense to keep another guy from making it into the 10 house with them. It's actually a point of contention with a lot of those guys. They really don't think we should do it. They think if you make it in the top 10, that should be it. And to be honest with you, this might be the last year that we do the TENvitational. We don't know for sure, but we do know this. This event is going to grow, and it's going to get better and better. And my goal is on the 10th year of the 10, we're in year 4 now, it'll be $10,000 just to make it in the 10. And we're going to pay out even bigger number. So when I say stuff like that, people go, there's no way you're going to pull that off. That's $100,000 just for the 10. What I'm shooting for is about $140,000 to $180,000 payout. But just by making it in, you win $10,000. That puts a lot more pressure on guys fishing for Angler of the Year all year. That puts a lot more pressure on guys fishing the trail. It makes every event count. It makes every fish count. We have about 75 guys, if they finished 1 or 2 places better in one tournament, they'd be in the 10. And so they know that. So this year they're sharpening their sword. They're sharpening their hooks. They're counting up their vacation days, and they're planning on gunning for these guys. This year we have a rookie in it. Last year was the first time a rookie ever made it, so we have back-to-back rookies. But this year we have 2 rookies. One of the rookies, we have 2 rookies in it so far, but one of them is not a rookie. This is his 2nd year fishing KBF, but he's 15 years old. So we allow anglers under 18 to fish as long as they're accompanied and chaperoned by a guardian. And so a young kid named Dylan Fuquay, who was 14 when he won his first ever and our first ever KBF Pro Tour event last year, and then he turned around and won another trail event and another Pro Tour event later in the season, finished up doing really well in the Trail Series Championship, qualified for the 10. He is in the 10 when he's barely over 10 himself, which is pretty crazy. So it's a crazy field. We've got 3 past champions, or 2 Anglers of the Year. It's stacked, man. And we're going to bring you the play-by-play. We're going to do some live streaming from social media. We're going to have Scott Butcher from the weigh-in interviewing these guys. He's going to be in the house. We're doing a weigh-in special edition from the house. It's a unique event. It's an exciting event, and I'm looking forward to it. It's just a good time to be in kayak fishing. There's the Hobie Bass Open Series. In fact, there's a Hobie Bass Open Series going on the same time as the 10. Some guys are coming down and fishing the TENvitational. If they don't make it, they're headed back up to fish in the Hobie Bass Open on Seminole. Bass has launched their series. We've taken our series up a notch. Everybody is competing. And I've said this about manufacturers. I've said this about sponsors. I've said this about business. Guys, I'm an angler first. I'm a tournament organizer and a business owner second. But when the companies compete, we all win as anglers. And to me, I'm a consumer, a participant, an angler, and a fan before any of this other stuff. And so for me, it's an exciting time. My job and what the weight I've put on my own shoulders is I want to be the spark. I want to be the reason that everybody takes it to the next level. So when we raise our bar, then so does Hobie. And when Hobie raises their bar, then so does Bass. And when we raise our bar again, then we force them to raise theirs, or if they raise theirs, then they force us to raise ours. Guess what? The anglers win. And that's what I've been about from the beginning, is creating opportunities for the anglers. And man, if it wasn't for awesome support from our sponsors, you know, Power Pole being there from the very beginning, you know, I've been with Power Pole since before the micro anchor, you know, and man, it's I've said it a number of times, and it's legitimately true. It is the coolest invention, boat management position, shallow water tool that I have in my arsenal. And I'd trade my best rod for the Power Pole on any given day, because I can catch them on any rod. I might have to pull a little harder on a moderate action rod if I'm jig fishing, or vice versa. But there ain't anything else that holds like a Power Pole that gives me that competitive advantage, that instant deployability. And man, I'm just excited to be here. This is the first time I've been to the headquarters. I don't have to, because you guys' customer support's so awesome that everything I've ever needed is back to me before I need a reason to stop by. So this time I just made up a reason to stop by, and you know, I wanted to
get to come and talk with us, man.
And I get to see your office / studio / storeroom. So that's pretty awesome. And it looks a lot like my office, actually. So has to pull triple duty.
Yeah, I mean, because so many people just drop in and they're like, let's talk.
You got to be ready.
Yeah, so now we can just, you know, put up the camera and say, hey, we're going to talk about fishing. And so for people that are interested in following along with everything that's going on, you know, want to follow along with the reality TV aspect of it, the competition, you want to tell us how they can do that?
The easiest way to do it is to head over to kayakbassfishing.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Kayak Bass Fishing. You can go to Facebook and search Kayak Bass Fishing. Or you can go to kayakbassfishing.com /schedule or kayakbassfishing.com /events. Actually, if you think of a word, that's how you get to it on KBF. If it's KBF, kayakbassfishing.com, like, what are their payouts? /payouts. Whatever you can think of, we've made it a simple URL link. The website's pretty well laid out and easy to navigate. But yeah, you can go to kayakbassfishing.com /events. All of the events are laid out. The event pages are linked up. Where you register is linked up. It's all pretty well laid out, and it's right there at your fingertips. Got an app launching soon. That'll be known as KBF for Kayak Bass Fishing. And, you know, kayak bass fishing is the sport, right? We say kayak bass fishing all the time, but I trademarked it when I wrote a book about it in 2009, but I never protected it, and I never wanted to, because kayak bass fishing belongs to all of us. Kayak bass fishing is the sport. KBF is my brand, is our business, and it stands for kayak bass fishing. But really, KBF is who we are and what we do because of kayak bass fishing. So kayak bass fishing doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the community, so that's why we made the distinction.
Well, there you go. Thank you, Chad. We appreciate you coming in and telling us all about it. And in the meantime, don't forget, stick with us. We're going to have more cool guests, more just talking fishing here. So thank you so much. Until next time, how do you spend your downtime?
On the water. I mean...
Or I'm talking in an office.
There you go. Well, I'm going to the water, so... Are we done? Because literally, I'm going to the water.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Take me.
Cool.